Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well, and today's upload is an upload that I have been working and gathering the information to share with you for about a week to 2 weeks now, about 10 days to be honest. The information comes from a gentleman who I have been in contact with for about 6 months. He works with the Canadian Special Forces and the United States government. Before we get into all that though, a couple quick links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent. Click the like button. Takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click that bell icon. And folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because all these things really do help this channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter, and they are appreciated. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into today's upload, shall we? Hey folks, so roughly 6 to 7 months ago, a gentleman reached out to me and shared some information in regards to a deep underground military base on a very strange kind of island in the middle of a lake that sits in the middle of Lake Rene Levasseur. And this island was created, the lake and island were created when a meteorite crashed into the earth a couple million years ago. And it is one of four, I believe, lakes that had been created that way. And you can actually see it. Astronauts have spotted this lake. It's called the Eye of Quebec. And it looks like this eye from outer space. It's almost a perfect circle sitting in the middle of this strange kind of lake in the frozen tundra of northern Canada, northeast Canada. And this gentleman shared about a deep underground military base that is in that area. The military or government that is using it, along with reptilian and greys, have used dogmen to patrol and make sure that no one that has any kind of military or whatnot gets on that island or even gets near the entrance to that base. I had never even heard of this, strange place. Very interesting experiences, an interesting history. So today, the information that I've got for you still comes out of Canada. And this gentleman works with the Canadian Special Operation Forces and Command and the CIA. Being CIA works outside of the United States, and they've worked hard together to hunt this strange creature that has been spotted in this area of Canada that we are going to talk about right now. And it is very, very terrifying. A lot of us have heard of the Nahani Valley or the Headless Valley. And a lot of Native American lore in the Headless Valley talk about a creature called the Wahila. There is so much more lore to that area that makes what I'm going to share with you make a heck of a lot of sense. Because once he shared what he did with me, and then I started to look into the lore and history of this area, just like Rene Levasseur, blew me away. And that's why I really enjoy sharing experiences like this, because it's just a lot of information. So when I have done uploads about Nahani Valley or the Headless Valley, the immediate kind of cryptid that is thought of immediately, for those of you who have researched the area and heard of this area, immediately talk about the Wahila. And what the Wahila is a large wolf-like creature. The Canadian Northwest Territories and the Nahani Valley are purported hotspots for sightings of a wolf-like cryptid known as the Wahila. There have been reports of sightings both in Alaska and Michigan. Even though the extinct Canis dirus, or dire wolf, does not fit the description of the Wahila, cryptozoologist Ivan T. Sanderson thought in the 70s the Wahila may represent a remnant population of the amphicenids, an ancient bear dog. Since no physical evidence of Wahila survives, the presence of this mystery wolf-like animal cannot be demonstrated by science. So it is a cryptid. Now, what the amphicenids is a bear dog. A bear dog, in general, went extinct for a reason: the environment. As Miocene went on, the climate got drier and drier, promoting faster prey and predators, with ambush becoming harder. Horses and camels, the main prey, became faster and faster. Caniforms is a suborder of order of carnivore, carnivore consisting of dog-like carnivores. And they include dogs, wolves, fox, bear, raccoon, and mustelids. The pinnipeds, seals, walrus, and sea lions are also assigned to this group. The center of diversification for the caniform is North America and Northern Eurasia. Caniform stands in contrast to another suborder of carnivore, the feliform, which is cat-like, center of diversification of which is Africa and Southern Asia. The bear dog is an extinct genus of large carnivores belonging to the family of the amphicenids from the Miocene epoch. Members of the family received their name for possessing bear-like and dog-like features. So large bodies, muzzles, very similar to a wolf. But in photos and in experiences with the Wahila and in lore, they don't have tails. They're just this large bear dog. And supposedly that, there's a lot of people that think these are the creatures that are responsible for the lore of the Headless Valley, which may be true and may not be true. I used to think it was the reason. I actually used to think that Dogman was a large reason. I used to think that, honestly, Dogman was the Wahila, or a werewolf, the way Victor describes them. No tail, human-like legs, large structure, shorter muzzle. But the Headless Valley, now I'm just sharing this information to kind of get you ready for the experience that I'm going to share, so you know the lore of this area. Because I've been doing this for quite a while, and I didn't know all of this lore. And I was blown away when I started to dig deep. The Headless Valley, also known as Nahani National Park Reserve, or Valley of the Headless Men, is a remote and mysterious area in the Northwest Territories of Canada. Location about 311 miles west of Yellowknife in the Deschutes region. Features the South Nahani River, four canyons, and the Circuit of the Unclimbables. Accessibility, only accessible by boat or float plane. And there are many areas where visitors are not welcome. Known for the history of mysterious and deadly events, including decapitation. UNESCO World Heritage Site, inscribed in 1978 for its beauty, unique geography, and abundance of plant and wildlife. Legends, the area is shrouded in supernatural lore, including legends of giants and hidden prehistoric animals. Other names, the park is also known as the Valley of the Headless Men because of its macabre legends and reputation of violent death. And the park is home to many dangerous animals, steep cliffs, brutal weather conditions. Some say that many people who enter the region do not return, which is true. There are legends of giants in the Nahani National Park Reserve, known as the Headless Valley or Valley of Headless Men. A giant is said to have cooked his food in the springs, these hot springs called Rabbit Kettle Hot Springs. The D.U.M.B people leave offerings at the springs for good luck and believe that full springs are a sign. The springs are home to the legendary Dean Horizon Walker, the Yamba Daja, who is thought to have created the laws. The Nahani Valley, a wolf or wolf-bear hybrid, is said to live in the valley, removing people's heads. The valley has been the site of many mysterious deaths, including the decapitated bodies of Willie and Frank McLeod, Swiss prospector Martin Jorgensen, and an Ontario miner. The valley has also been called Dead Man Valley and Headless Range. Prehistoric monsters, some say mammoth, mastodon, and other prehistoric monsters still roam the valley. Other legends of Nahani National Park include hidden tropical gardens, spirits hiding in the hot springs, and tufa mounds, many UFO sightings and strange lights, the Wahila, a predatory bear-dog hybrid prowling the valley, and Bigfoot activity in forbidden parts of the park. Okay, so now that I laid the kind of map or whatever of this region for you, obviously the area is just full of supernatural lore. The gentleman who told me about Rene Levasseur and the area known as the Eye of Quebec reached out to me about 2 weeks ago, and he wanted to share some more information with me. He's debating on coming on the channel. He has, obviously he's aware of who Victor was, and he doesn't know if he is willing to go that route. He doesn't know if he's willing to put his life on the line. and I cannot blame him, to be honest with you. Because of the information that he shared with me, to me, it is just as pertinent as what Victor has shared. Dogman guarding a deep underground military base in Quebec. Soldiers being attacked there. I mean, so north of Nahani Valley, there is a joint operational deep underground military base, United States and Canada, with Greys and Reptilians. There is 8 levels. The bottom 3 are off limits to humans. Level 4 through 5, supposedly, are for genetic labs. Now, he only knows this because he had worked there for a short period of time, just like Rene Levasseur Deep Underground Military Base. Apparently, during his time at this base, which was very short, he said approximately 9 months. And he said that he saw more happen here than at the base at Rene Levasseur. So just like at Rene Levasseur, his 9 months that he spent there, he worked security, and there were times that he had seen with other members of his security staff, UAP, or unidentified anomalous phenomenon. It had been changed. It used to be unidentified aerial phenomenon, but now that anomalous, it encompasses anything. So with that being said, they had seen what he thought were orbs, many kind of UFO sightings. He never saw the actual shape of any craft. There were just multiple bright lights in and around the Nahani Valley. During his time there, he had witnessed certain things. He was aware of level 4 and level 5. He had never been on those levels, but he was aware that there were genetic labs and testing going on there. He does believe that humans were being tested. He did work with the Canadian government. He was an American, or is an American. It was an American military. He still is American, obviously, but being that this deep underground military base is in Canada, the Canadian government has more of a control over it, but the United States military and CIA are present there. The ones who do control the whole kind of kit and caboodle would be the Greys and the Reptilians. So he had been made aware of level 4 and 5, which he had heard bits and pieces of. He said, I can't compare it to Nightmare Hall because 1, I was never down there, and 2, I never had been to Nightmare Hall to witness the atrocities there. But he believes that a lot of the missing people that go missing in the northern territories of Canada and Alaska could be in a few of these deep underground military bases that are hidden in these Canadian Rockies and, deep Canadian wilderness. Why would we go there as Americans? It's a whole different country. And let's hide what's going on pretty much in plain sight. But, not really in plain sight. Who's going to go looking in these regions? Like where Andrew Dawson saw the giant, where he saw that craft landing. And it makes perfect sense. So they had been tasked to go on a mission. He had no idea what the mission was at first. It was supposedly a routine security check of a 2-mile perimeter around this deep underground military base. He was wondering, why are we going in such a numbers? Because there was multiple personnel. Obviously, he knew why they were going with live ammunition. One, because they're not, they're not going on a practice around here. Also, there are deadly wild animals in this region, animals that can kill humans. So, but he was curious of why so many of us. Max, there should have been somewhere between 15 to 20, but there were 50 of us. Some of the security force he didn't even know, which he didn't know a lot of people at this base, but he knew the majority of the security force workers. So when they were all gathered and told, hey, this is what you're going to do, you're going to go and kind of maintain and check the perimeter 2 miles out in a complete circle, right from pretty much Nahani boot up into the valley. They get their mission and they proceed to go out. And as they are going out into this tundra and mountainous wilderness, they are now told what the real deal is. There apparently had been, and they were all aware of, just like Tom Costello, Phil Snyder, they're all aware that this group of alien creatures, the Greys, the reptilians, and American and Canadian government, probably United Nations as well, the NWO, probably had their hand in it too. But there had been some sort of escape, some sort of creature or test subject had escaped. He said both, but as we kept talking, he kept referring to it as both test subject and creature. Now, what he said they were told they were after was a 7 to 8 foot humanoid-like creature that was black in color, just almost a solid shadow black in color, that had wings. It had a tail. It had kind of bent legs, and its height at max without its bent legs was somewhere between 8 feet. With its bent legs and how it stood in its normal stance, would have been about 6.5 feet tall. It was, once again, jet black, large wings, red eyes, and what appeared to be kind of these, what he thought at first when he saw it, and a few other people had saw it, they talked about it after, would have been ears on the top of its head. A few of the other guys had commented that, what if they weren't ears? What if they were horns? And pretty much what they a few of the guys had described this creature as was a demon, because it was jet black and had these kind of two whatever knobs on the top of its head. He said they stuck out about 4 inches in height, but the wingspan was about 10 feet. So each wing was about 5 feet in length. When they were told this, a few of the guys that were not aware of the whole real deal of what occurred at this deep underground military base kind of got really questioning the person in charge. This is not, at this point, this is not a military operation. This is United States secret government and Canadian special operations joint mission. This is not funded by or the United States military was probably not aware of any of what was going on here, to be honest, just like at Dulce. So these guys are then, being questioning authority, questioning, hey, what the hell is going on? And they were actually brought back to the base. And a few of those guys, he said about 10 of these guys were never seen again. He doesn't know if they were executed or if they had been put in kind of incarcerated, or if they were sent to level 4 and 5 for genetic, or possibly 6, 7, and 8, because once again, there was 8 levels here, and the 6th, 7th, and 8th level was off limits to any kind of human, even upper personnel, upper security personnel. They didn't even have the clearance to go. It was strictly reptilian and gray levels. So they go out and they are hiking deep into this just mountainous region. And they do start to notice a lot of warm spots. It's a really cold area. They are in winter gear, but there's some areas where these hot springs are quite noticeable. The humidity is higher in these areas, and there are some strange plant life that it just doesn't look like the northern part of Canada anymore. It's very alien-like. Through these couple of days, obviously at nighttime, they see a lot of these lights he had seen a few times while he was doing guard duty on the first level of the base and the ground level. He had seen a lot of these unidentified anomalous phenomena. But the nights they were camping on this kind of hunt for this creature, the lights that they were seeing were very visible and multiple. He thinks that a few of them might not have been UFOs or UAP, but actually orbs instead. It was around the second night of this kind of hunt for this creature that things really started to get a little out of hand. The first night they saw the UAP or orbs. A few of the guys were freaked out. And they also realized that during the initial briefing, and they were told it was going to be a perimeter search. And during the first, 45 minutes of this, he realized that if this is a perimeter search, why are all of us going to one kind of centralized location? We're all heading north into this valley. Apparently there was a tracker in this creature, some sort of chip or implant that had been put on it, so they knew where to go. He was not aware of this until later on. The second night, the first day they had noticed, the hot springs. Second night is they had kind of set up camp. They were told no fires. They were, it was strictly you hunker down. Whoever has sleep time, sleep. Whoever has watch time, watch. Vice versa. And half of the guys are sleeping, half are up on watch. He's sleeping, and they hear this scream, this blood-curdling scream coming from their encampment. And all of them, anybody who was asleep is now instantly wide awake. No kind of, just fucking holy shit, what was that? Because it was literally within their encampment, and this is not your normal encampment where you have a campfire and there's tents set up. No, they are in, small, what I think they're called bivouacs or whatever, those small kind of sleeping bag tents. They're set up in those, easy packable, quick, only meant for sleeping, not for comfort or anything. Warmth, sleep, and go. And they hear this scream. So instantly commands are getting shouted. These guys in the security team are all, on high alert, trying to figure out where it came from, who it was, what it was, if it's this creature. And one of the guys who had been sleeping had woken up he had to relieve himself. So he had let his buddy know, hey, I'm going to take a leak real quick. Just wanted to let you know. Because each guy who was sleeping had their awake buddy and vice versa. So he goes and starts to, head all over to the tree line to take a whiz. And that's the scream. So that's how they knew, hey, where is my battle buddy? Where the hell is he? That must have been who and what that scream was. They all start to, kind of look into this area. The person who is in charge of the security force, the commander or whatever you want to call him, mind you, this is not military, so there is no kind of formal names for any of, there's only the people in charge and the rest are, workers. He said there was the guys that were in charge and then there were us, the shit-ons, is his exact term. The few of the guys that were in charge, there was 4 guys that were in charge. One of those 4 were the head of the security. And he tells everybody to go to this centralized area and be at the ready. Kind of weapons off safety and focus in this area. And he had this kind of tablet thing in his hand. And that's when he realized that these things in this thing that we're after must be chipped or must have some sort of tracking implant in it. they're all at the ready, and as there's flashlights on, people are yelling, out commands what to do. Don't fire unless you see. There's a crash through the woods. One guy takes a few shots off. He's reprimanded immediately, hold fire, da-da-da. But as they hear this crash, this body comes flying out of the woods and hits the ground in front of them. And they all immediately run over because they can tell that it is one of the security guards or security personnel. And his body is mangled. Just the arm is twisted. It looked like he had been in a car accident, and his head had been ripped off of his body. It was not a clean sever. It was clearly something had ripped his head off, and there was very little blood on the ground. So he had been drained of blood. At this point, they hear this very demonic-like screech, this high-pitched shrill, and he knows what dogmen sound like because of his time at Rene Levasseur and whatnot. He said this sounded like nothing I had ever heard before. It sounded like this, whatever made this noise, most certainly was not of this planet or of this dimension. Out of the woods, these trees are 60 feet tall, old growth, and out of the woods they see this black silhouette up in the sky, and they notice these red eyes staring down at them, and they all look. The head security command gives the order to shoot to kill. Just aim and shoot. So you've got 49 or 39 guys staring up at this thing, and they are all shooting rounds at this creature. And it just stays like, it's not moving. It's not dodging any bullets. He said it just stayed in this. Its wings were not fluttering, but they were out. And it was just stationary in the sky, looking down at them. And in one just swoop, it went backwards and just disappeared into the night. The only reason why they could see any part of this thing was its red eyes. And once they had focused on the red eyes, or once he had focused on the red eyes, he could see the silhouette of this just black creature. He believes that the creature had been created by the gray and reptilians, being that color for that reason, as some sort of weapon, a weaponized kind of creature, because it was perfect night camouflage. Like, they couldn't, if it weren't for the eyes, once again, and the shriek and the dead body that came flying out of the woods, they wouldn't have seen it. They would have not, paid any attention to it. Even if it didn't shriek and the body didn't come out, with just the eyes, they probably wouldn't have seen it. Who's focusing on, 25 guys are looking, they're not looking up, they're looking around while their other 25 are sleeping. So at that point, everybody is on high alert. He then, everyone is told then there is no more sleep awake from right now until we can figure out, possibly we might have to take a break in the day in the light so we know what we're up against. But the next time anyone sleeps actually is the following afternoon, because at that point the guy who's in charge of this security team had made the decision that this thing is too dangerous for anyone to be sleeping at night. Everyone should be awake, and if there is going to be sleep, it's going to be in the day, to where they can see what's going on, and they are going to hunt this thing at night, even though it has an advantage. But one, it doesn't really, because now they know to look up and look for the red eyes. So there's no more noise. There is nothing for the rest of that evening until later on the next day. They are now hiking up further into the valley. They are now come to a couple of these very large kind of springs, these hot water springs. They're taking a break and just almost relaxing. Command had said, we're going to probably right before dusk, we'll get 2 hours on, 2 hours sleep, 2 hours on. So a total of 4 hours before we hunt, before it's dark. So a few of the guys are crashed out, and they are then woken up because there is a large vibration through the woods. It's quite evident that something large is moving through the woods and away from them. Everyone is told to be put on high alert. Security, the people in security who are in charge have no idea what, they are just as confused and just as scared as the shit-ons. Because of his time at Rene Levasseur, he and two of the kind of higher up security and 8 other guys who are just like him, security and a gun, are told to do kind of a recon. Everyone else is going to stay back. You guys go forth and find out what that noise was. So you've got him and only a select few that have been with this Canadian secret agency and the CIA for a select period of time. More than likely anyone who has ever had any kind of combat or any kind of search, secure, put down, whatever, any of these creatures, because he had taken and witnessed, Dogman and all these other creatures while at Rene Levasseur and all of these other places he had worked. So they go on this recon, and they get about a half a mile from where they are at these springs. And they start to notice that everything is now much more different than what it looked like 20 minutes ago. Where they were, There was snow on the ground. It wasn't deep because of the humidity in the area of these hot springs. But now they are noticing that the plant life is visible. Like, there is no snow in some sections of this area. It looked so alien. And this is what I had said in the beginning. This is where he had seen this, and it didn't look like it almost, to him, it almost looked like he had gone and his other guys had gone through like a time switch, like a portal. But they hadn't. What they had done was they had stumbled upon this kind of isolated area that was warmer than any part of the valley. They are now still hearing these footsteps, and they have now noticed or put together that it is footsteps. It is not just these thumping, this whatever. They get up, they hike, or not hike, they climb up onto this kind of like cliffside, and they're looking, and now they can see that it is a whole different terrain from where they are. It's almost similar to where they were. Snow, trees, old growth, this and that, to where what they were in almost was subtropic. It was very strange, he said. They're witnessing this large creature walking. And how he described it, it was 16 feet in height. It had dark complexion. It was not a dark complexion like a black person would be, not as white as a white person, darker than a Native American, almost Middle Eastern complexion, with red hair, long red hair, and a long beard, and wearing what appeared to be kind of what you would think as cavemen would wear. And it's walking away from them. Like it has not noticed them. It's not engaged in them, but it's walking. And all of these guys see it. The two men that are in charge of this little team here, and they are also in charge of, the other guys back there, but there's still one man that is in charge of everybody. He's not with them. They are watching it. They radio back and tell the command, hey, this is what we are seeing. One, we are in above now this kind of tropical looking area that there is no snow. There are plants growing. There is water flowing. The water is warm to the touch. But we are seeing what I just described to you, a red-haired, red-beard, kind of caveman-looking giant. They are immediately told to not engage, but watch and see where it goes, so they know not to go in that area. As they are watching this creature, no better term, giant, mountain giant. I don't know if it's a Nephilim. You know what I mean? I don't know how to constitute or classify Nephilim. If it's humanoid and it's that big, would it be a Nephilim? To me, yes. But I mean, if you really look at like the Book of Enoch and all of this, and the Book of Giants, per these books, these fallen angels that had created the Nephilim also did DNA experiments and created other kind of creatures that are referred to as Nephilim as well. So, they're seeing this giant walking away from them, not a care in the world. It doesn't even know, that it is being watched. it walks over to this kind of solid mountainside, this face of this mountainside, and this bright kind of greenish light, this yellowish green light opens up on the side of this mountain, and it just disappears. It just walks into this. The two guys that are in charge radio back and say, hey, this is what we just saw. Should we go over and check it out? It's about, an eighth of a mile to where we are. We witnessed it. What do you want us to do? They're then told to proceed, find out where it went, then come back to us so we can regroup and get ready for the night. Because we want to know where this thing is, one, because night is coming, and we don't want to have two combatants to go against. And if we do, we want to know where this one's coming from. So they follow these just large tracks in the snow, barefoot, six-toed tracks. They walk up to the side of this mountain, and, they're kind of knocking on the wall of the mountain. Nothing is there. It's sloped, so it's not flat. It's sloped, but still, you see the footprints visibly stop, and it's gone. One of the guys, one of the kind of shit-ons, touches an area of this mountainside and says to everybody, "Hey, come here, feel this, feel this." And through their gloves, they could feel this kind of vibration and a warmth to the touch, 20 feet away, totally opposite. Cool. What you'd expect rock to feel like in the wilderness in the cold winter. Cold, not a vibration, but 20 feet back, and it's warm and vibrating kind of. 20 feet on this side. Let's see how far up it goes. They kind of scale up a little bit, and like 30 feet. 30 feet by 30 feet by 45 feet is this warmth and vibration. They then radio back what they have observed, what they have now found, and they are told to, get back to where we are. We know where this thing is now. At least if we have to, we can set a couple of guys in this direction to maintain safety, providing it comes back. But no one except these guys that went out on this recon mission saw it. Night comes very quickly. Almost as soon as they regroup, it is dusk. It is, very winter. You're in the north. You get 9 hours of daylight, if that. So now they are told they are going to coax this creature into them. Not the giant light creature, but the winged. How he described it, and I asked him, I said, hey, to me, it sounds almost like a gargoyle. And he said, very similar. He said, but how people envision gargoyles is muscular. This was very strong, but very slender as well. So what they are going to do is they are going to set up and act almost like they have given up the hunt. They're not going to sleep in the darkness. They are going to start a fire. They're going to start, acting like they're camping. They're going to make this creature believe that, the hunt is over for it, in hopes of luring it into this small little camp that they're going to set up in. This is per the higher ups of what to do. He's in his head, he's thinking this is a bad idea. One, there may be a friendly fire incident. You've got a circle around a fire of guys. If this creature comes into that circle and it scares, 30 something guys, someone's going to take a shot, and quite possibly, and he did voice that concern to his higher ups, which he was then told, we'll take that into consideration, but the odds of that happening is next to nil. They are kind of relaxing, but on high alert. They're acting like they're relaxing. They're in these little sleeping bag tent things, and I believe they're called bivouacs, but I'm not. And they're just on high alert. No sooner does everything go quiet, the whole wilderness goes quiet, and there is this howl. And it's not a howl of a wolf, but it's an actual human howling like, help. They all spring up, and what they see is on the far side of the fire, one of the guys who had been on the recon mission, one of the 4 that are in charge, is getting pulled away from the fire. They can only see him getting pulled away. And they look up and they see these bright red eyes. They cannot see the darkness because this thing's in the darkness, in the black of the night. The fire is not illuminating it. And they realize that this creature has one of their men. An instant command is shouted out to shoot to kill. He does not shoot. He makes the decision not to shoot, and the only reason why is because he did not want to commit murder. Not saying that taking down the creature would have been that, but he could tell that it was a sacrifice that this guy who was one of the higher ups here, he wasn't going to make it out of this. And you've got 30 something guys shooting in the direction of this creature and the guy that's getting dragged. You can see and hear screams of pain from this creature. The howling or shrieks of the guy had stopped the second the rounds started flying. They stop. They're told to stop. They all kind of converge on the area. They can visibly see. They've got their flashlights, some on their firearms, on their long rifles, and some handheld. They can see their comrade down, dead, and they see the creature dead. It is splayed out. Its wings are not open, but kind of like maybe 3 feet, not fully extended. They're then told to, let's secure the area. The main guy in charge walks over, checks the body of his comrade, battle buddy, whatever you want to call it, pulls the body aside, separates the cryptid creature and the security guy. They walk over, they put a couple rounds into the head of the creature. A few of the guys are checking on the condition of their battle buddy to see if he's still alive, which 30-something guys firing automatic bursts at this creature and him. No, he is not. Call goes out to the base. Mission accomplished. 2 casualties. This, and that. All right. Secure the area. How far? How big? This, that. Can you drag it back to where? Or do we need to send a team to come get you? We can handle it. They end up dragging it back. They left the other headless corpse in the area where they had found him, or where it had happened. And they put him in a body bag. A few of the guys dragged that body back, dragged the other battle buddy back, and there was like 10 guys on the creature dragging it back. He said that thing probably weighed 500 pounds. And that makes no sense because it was tall, but it was not overly huge, like overly muscular, overly wide. They get back to the base. They are all debriefed. They're then told, unfortunately, this creature had escaped from our area, from one of the levels of genetic testing. It very seldom happens, and unfortunately, we had 2 casualties. That is the cost of what we do here. And there's no NDA signed. He said there's no NDA signed. One, because we knew that this is our career. We are getting paid a substantial amount of money for what we are doing. He said that's one of the big reasons why he stayed with this interagency of the CIA and the Canadian Special Operations Joint Task Force combined. But, he said we were getting an unreasonable amount of money for what we did because they knew that if they paid us a good, fair wage, higher than what we would make doing regular contracting work, that we would keep our mouths shut and they could trust trust us. So there's no NDA signed, and and that's when he learned about certain creatures, certain genetic creatures that were being created. A gentleman had brought up, one of the guys who was in that recon mission had brought up the red-haired, red-beard, kind of caveman giant-like creature. Is that something that had escaped from this deep underground military base as well? Did that come out of the lab as well? And if so, how? Nope. There are not a lot of these creatures, but there are a few of these creatures, just like Sasquatch, roaming the Nahani Valley. And we have had very little contact with them. The contact that we have had with them. Some have been violent, but the majority of the time, they would much rather not engage. And that is why, more than likely, that creature had been watching us. Like, it knew we were here, and it knew probably what we were hunting and what we were doing here. And that's why it was going as far away from us as possible. So it probably was observing us using portals, and then decided, hey, the less contact with these people I have, the better off I am. And walked into its portal on that mountainside. This is, like I said, when I first started talking to this gentleman, he had said that he has a few experiences in these Canadian/United States joint operational deep underground military bases. The majority of them, or all of them, are under reptilian command, just like Dulce, but the government does have a use for being here, and the reptilians have a use for the government being there. It's a symbiotic kind of relationship, They gain something from us being there, and we gain something from them being here. He has a few other experiences in this region, not as crazy as this one. More or less lights being observed. Not strange deaths, but for some reason, bodies of elk and animals that are native to this area being found dead and put in the area where the deep underground military base entrance and other entry zones are. He said there's probably 4 to 5 entry zones to this deep underground military base that he is aware of. But being in security, when a body was observed and there was cameras, and all they saw was a body, just, you'd reverse it, no body. Go ahead, boom, body. What put it there? Nothing. But for some reason, there's a dead elk, dead bear, dead whatever in these areas. And that kept happening for quite some time. But nothing like this Nephilim-like creature ever sighted again. And he believes what Command had said. Chances are this thing was watching us. And when it realized that we were hunting something and not it, is when it decided to kind of, I'm not going to put myself in a predicament of getting, taken out or having to take out humans. So I will just go my way. And that is what happened in the Nahani National or Nahani Boot area, where this deep underground military base is. No dogmen had ever been spotted by him in this region. Just the one kind of aerial cryptid and giant in that region. Other weird shit, paranormal shit, like the bodies and UAPs, orbs and such, but nothing of cryptid nature after this. So, and right behind me is the channel's mascot. That's his bed. Guys, I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is your support, after all, that keeps this channel growing and going, and what gives us all a chance and a place to share our experiences and theories. And I really do hope that he decides to come on and share his experiences in his words, just like Victor did. But like I said, he is aware of what happened to Victor. He didn't personally know Victor. He knew of him from the channel. He knew of him through the agency, but he personally didn't know him. He knew other kind of cryptid hunters that worked within these Homeland Security / CIA agencies. But he is very apprehensive about putting his life on the line. And once again, I can't blame him. I think it's cool that he's talking to me and sharing this information with us. So, and with that, please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. These events happened. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. And until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you all.